When Mortal Kombat X introduced the Kombat Kids, they were meant to be the spark of the next generation of fighters for the series. Each a continuation of their family's legacy, each with their own goals and reasons to fight, and each with their own shoes to fill. There should be so much room for these characters to grow and find their place in the brutal world of Mortal Kombat. They each deserve to have unique, dramatic, and impactful stories that would resonate with anyone lucky enough to experience them. Takeda's quest for vengeance, Kung Jin's self-hatred, Jackie's broken family, and Cassie's exceedingly high expectations. These stories should have all been important, interesting, and memorable, paving the way to continue Mortal Kombat's plot through generations of fresh, new, and interesting characters. Unfortunately, these stories were half-baked and boring, culminating in a story that just feels empty, ultimately leaving us feeling empty towards these characters with little to no care about them whatsoever. That's the glaring flaw when it comes to the Kombat Kids. There's just nothing to care about. As we explore the stories of these characters and what went wrong, I want to begin by addressing each individual character, the story NRS intended to tell with them, why it didn't work, and finally, how it could have been better, all while explaining how their relationship with each other as a group aids their individual growth. I also won't be diving into MK11 much at all for this video, as I want to talk about the group as a whole, and in MK11, Takeda and Kung Jin are just completely absent. Also, MK11 does nothing to remedy MKX's mistakes with the Kombat Kids, so I don't see the point in diving into it. With that being said, let's begin. We are first introduced to Cassie and the group when they are instructed to meet with Sub-Zero and the Lin Kuei to ensure that they are still allied. When the group arrives at the temple, they immediately begin to show how dysfunctional they are. Specifically, we see how Cassie struggles to be the leader. Kung Jin goes in to confront Kuai Liang despite Cassie's instructions otherwise. Kung Jin and Cassie both attempt to take charge, each with different ideas on how to approach the situation. Cassie, however, is supposed to be the true leader of the group. Sub-Zero says as much before their fight.
Cassandra Cage, you lead this group, but they do not follow. What would your mother do?
So it falls on her to take control and keep Jin in line. She struggles to do this early on, which makes sense as the group is both new and young. And these flaws are shown early intentionally to establish her character and what kind of development we may expect to see from her as we continue the story. Her poor leadership and the group's overall lack of teamwork led to them failing this training exercise, where each of them faced Sub-Zero individually and lost. After releasing them, Kuai Liang tells them that they have potential but won't get anywhere until they learn to function as one. A point that was never fully explored, by the way. But don't worry, I will talk about my ideas on how to fix that later. But this is still important specifically for Cassie. Again, she is supposed to lead them and make them function as one. So, moving forward, I'd have expected her leadership skills to develop throughout the story as the group continues to work together. But this isn't entirely what we got. Their next mission brings them to Outworld to meet with Kotal Khan. This portion is a bit more important to Kung Jin than it is to Cassie, so I'll return to this during his section, but for Cassie, this mission is much the same as the last. She and Jin are still butting heads over leadership, where Jin oversteps his boundaries and Cass doesn't put him back in line. Cass also fails to convince Aaron Black to bring them to Kotal. She does show Aaron Raiden's seal, but he doesn't buy it. Cass hesitates, likely not knowing what to say or do here, but Kung Jin picks up the slack for her and talks Aaron into bringing them to Kotal. This is fine. Cass doesn't need to be a great talker, and those duties can fall on Jin, but the issue is still mainly that Cass is struggling to lead, and Jin used this as an opportunity to one-up her, rather than it being a situation where Cassie is utilizing the strengths of a squad member when the time calls for it. Moving on to a later part in the story, the group shares a solid bonding moment in a prison of Outworld after Kotal deems Earthrealm unfit to protect the amulet, and so he violates what they call the Reiko Accords, which would otherwise require that Kotal keep his word and return the amulet. However, Kotal didn't care. He took the amulet away and locked them up. During this moment, they take turns talking about their families and the unique hardships that come with them. Cassie speaks on how tough it is being Sonia's daughter and how hard she tries to live up to her mother's expectations. It's a solid moment that brings the group closer and serves as a turning point for the group. From here, their teamwork takes a very slight turn for the better. However, it never really translates to anything of importance later. For Cassie, her leadership abilities are never shown again in any meaningful way, as her next major part is where she takes on a few Revenants with her group. Revenant Katana takes out 2 of them, being Jackie and Takeda, and Devora takes out Kung Jin. So, Cassie is the last remaining to fight Shinnok. With the lives of her friends and family on the line, she finally unlocks the Cage family powers, the powers she needs to beat Shinnok and put an end to his reign of terror. As much as I like clowning on this ending and just how stupid I think it is to have teenage Cassie 1v1 an empowered elder god, I don't think it was a horrible idea. It could have worked, it could have been better, and we could have loved it. My suggestion would be to have the entire group come together to showcase their growing chemistry, strength, and teamwork. Have Cassie land the final blow, let her lead the team to victory, unlock her powers, and save her family. But only through the combined strength of the team. This would put her leadership skills in the spotlight, emphasizing and highlighting the growth she's gone through throughout the story, and this would make her victory feel earned and meaningful while also elevating the rest of the team, expanding on the plot point they tried to make earlier about teamwork and fighting as one.
You and your friends show much promise, Cassandra Cage. But until you function as one, you will fall short.
I will explore how this hypothetical ending where they come together to beat Shinnok would benefit each character, and how it would make each of them more compelling, relatable, and likable. Kung Jin begins as an insufferable a-hole, taking nearly every chance he can to pick on and belittle the other group members, mostly Cassie and Jackie. However, his treatment of the others comes from his own inner struggles. He does not think highly of himself as he struggles to live up to his family's legacy, constantly in the shadow of the great Kung Lao, his great-something grandfather. He belittles others to bring them down to his level. This is heavily implied during his flashback scene with Raiden after Raiden catches Kung Jin stealing a family heirloom.
Blood of Kung Lao, descendant of the great Kung Lao, a common thief. Did you think you could walk unimpeded into my temple and walk out again without my complicity?
You wanted me to attack you. Why?
To release your anger, make you amenable to reason.
And make me feel like shit.
Self-loathing has always been an unfortunate part of your makeup. There lies ahead a brighter path, one that will truly honor your ancestors, one that is worthy of you. Go to the Wuxi Academy, join the Shaolin, like Kung Lao before you.
I can't. They won't accept.
They care only about what is in your heart, not whom your heart desires.
It's too late for me.
Jin hates himself. He doesn't think he'll ever live up to the legacy of his family and become great. Furthermore, though it's never outright stated, it's implied within the story with the, quote, "whom your heart desires" line from Raiden, and subsequently confirmed by the writers that Kung Jin is gay, further adding to his self-loathing as he doesn't believe his family nor the Shaolin would accept him even if he was physically strong, simply because of his sexuality. Jin is wrong to doubt himself, however, and showcases his skills throughout the story. He's already a member of the Shaolin, he's an excellent archer and fighter, and he's a knowledgeable and excellent talker. There are several times when Kung Jin has talked his way in and out of situations, especially during the group's time in Outworld. He convinces Aaron Black to take them to Kotal. He talks Kotal into trial by combat, which demands respect since it's Outworld custom and would bring dishonor to Kotal if he refuses. And then he beats Kotal one-on-one to assure the group's success. Kung Jin's story arc is one of self-acceptance and belonging. His relationship with the group throughout the story should reflect this. It kinda does, as he does become less of an ass towards the end and has a bit more confidence. However, it just doesn't feel like enough. It doesn't feel earned. We don't really see his flaws being too detrimental to the team or himself in a way that prompts him to self-reflect and grow. Rather, we get the aforementioned prison scene where they all trauma dump to each other and come out better. The scene is fine, sure, but it feels to me that the writers just used it as a turning point to solve each character's problems and wrap up the plot quickly. I'd prefer to see Kung Jin stir up issues in the group through insubordination and generally just poor teamwork. And then as Cassie develops as a leader, Jin should develop as a team player. Their relationship should play off of each other's character growth. As Jin learns to accept himself and feel more confident, he should begin to fall in line more and let Cassie lead the team. This would culminate in Jin becoming a kinder, more confident team player by the end of the story. If we tie this into our hypothetical ending, he should take on a major role in a plan procured by Cassie, where he follows orders and showcases the confidence he now has in himself, taking on an arduous task pivotal to the group's success against Shinnok. Again, using the ending battle as a climactic showcase of character growth. Takeda's character arc was seemingly meant to mirror Scorpion's, a path of vengeance over the death of his mother. However, unlike Scorpion, this time we would have seen him pursue his vengeance under the guidance of his father Kenshi and Grandmaster Hanzo Hasashi, who is Scorpion. During Takeda's chapter in MKX, we get to see a flashback where Takeda reunites with his father Kenshi after 10 years of his absence. We learn that Takeda's mother was killed by Red Dragon assassins targeting Kenshi, and that because of this, Kenshi chose to send Takeda to the Shirai Ryu to protect him and to train and grow under Hanzo. Kenshi and Hanzo also lied to Takeda about his mother's death in order to prevent Takeda from rushing into vengeance unprepared. Kenshi then promises Takeda that they will seek out his mother's killers together, foreshadowing the kind of story we can expect from Takeda moving forward. Spoiler alert, didn't happen. This flashback scene, honestly, is the only important part of the story for Takeda. He doesn't grow or change much, if at all, throughout the story, which is really unfortunate. I understand that his story was being more or less set up for a later DLC or MK11 or whatever they had planned, assuming they plan ahead. However, that shouldn't prevent them from developing his character in any meaningful way within the base story. To remedy this, I'd have had Takeda be much more short-tempered and irritable due to his underlying craving for vengeance, anger towards his father's absence, and even bad habits he's picked up from Hanzo, who we all know has his own struggles with rage. Mirror some of Takeda's actions to that of Scorpion during his revenge craze, then let Hanzo connect with Takeda through this, guiding him to a better path, one Hanzo wishes he had taken. This would aid not just Takeda, but Hanzo as well. And then, to tie this into the group, I'd have had Takeda's temper affect the group negatively at times, and then, through the teachings of his father Kenshi and Grandmaster Hanzo, and the support of his new friends, he slowly learns to control it. Adding to this point, have his relationship with Jackie become a major factor in quelling his anger. He learns to lean on her and their relationship to ease his inner rage. Wrap this up with, again, the final fight. Have Shinnok do his best to get under Takeda's skin, mock his mother's death, Kenshi's absence, and the mistakes he's made with the group during times when he's lost his temper. In this scenario, Takeda wouldn't let the words get to him. He's mastered his temper. He's learned from the guidance of Hanzo and Kenshi, the support of his friends, and his new relationship with Jackie. He would come out at the end of this story a better person, having changed, having developed, and yet we can still save the father-son vengeance arc for a later time. Unfortunately, we have nothing for Takeda, as he ends MKX beaten by Revenant Katana beside Jackie, alive but beaten, and that's it. He never makes another appearance. He isn't anywhere in MK11, and then of course, we all know by now, the reset happened in MK11, and he was wiped from existence. It's truly sad and immensely disappointing that we never got to see Takeda's story. Finally, we've reached Jackie. No, I did not save the best for last. Quite the opposite, actually. Jackie in MKX has literally no glaring character flaws at all. She's kind, caring, confident, smart, and strong. It's like they tried to make her perfect, which is not good. Flaws are what makes characters interesting. It's what makes us care and relate to them, and it's what allows a character to grow. So if you take this perfect character route to start, you're going to want to break them down and create flaws within them through the plot, this sort of downward character development. Otherwise, if they remain perfect, the character just comes off either really boring or really annoying, or both. Her only plot point at all just revolves around her father Jax. Since Jax spent a significant amount of time as a revenant of Quan Chi, he's become fearful of the world around him. He's scared of the possibility of his loved ones experiencing the same fate, especially Jackie. So, Jax has supposedly become very overprotective of her. This is basically the entire plot of Jackie's character. The problem is, why the hell should I care? They can tell me all they want about how overprotective he is and how Jackie struggled with dealing with her father's overbearing protectiveness. But why should I care at all if it just never affects the story? When we begin the game, Jackie is already a member of the Special Forces. We never see Jax in any way intervene with Jackie's job. We'd never see Jax shadow over her shoulder and be a nuisance. And we never see this overprotective relationship get in the way. So again, why the hell does it matter? There's nothing of substance from this plot point at all, so the audience just couldn't care less. Instead, what I'd have done would be to show us times when Jax's overprotectiveness affected Jackie. For example, use a flashback scene of Jackie telling her father that she's joining the Special Forces. You can bring Johnny in there too if they wanted to keep that part in as well, but we must see Jax's reaction, and more importantly, how this reaction affects Jackie. Adding to this, I would also prefer that Jackie's mother Vera dies before Jackie joins the Special Forces, making Jax's actions even more understandable, as Jackie would be the last of his family. This would also further break Jackie's sense of belonging, driving her to seek more connections, but also cast more doubt into Jackie about her decision, as she may feel it's selfish and unfair for her father, who now lives in constant fear for her safety. I would have also preferred to see Jackie be less social with the group, quiet and secluded, constantly questioning if she made the right choice by joining SF, and feeling remorse for disobeying her father. Make her feel like an outcast. She's sick of being trapped at home with her broken family, but she also doesn't feel like she belongs in SF because of what her father tells her, so she never feels like she's making the right choice. Then, as the story develops, she slowly becomes more confident and closer to the group. Have Jax intervene and stir up drama on a few occasions, but slowly eases off as he learns that Jackie can protect herself and the group is becoming a second family to her. Let her relationship with Takeda drive this point home further. Jackie isn't alone out there and in need of her dad's protection. She's found a new sense of belonging, people who care for her, and people who will protect her. Finally, again, I let the final fight against Shinnok be the ultimate showing of this development. Show that Jackie is strong by defeating some tough enemies, but then Shinnok catches her by surprise, just about to grievously wound her when Takeda and the group swoop in and save her, assuring her protection. Proving both that Jackie is strong and can handle herself, and that the group is more than capable of protecting each other. At the end of this, Jackie will finally find a sense of belonging, and Jax will find comfort in knowing his daughter is in good hands. This team should have been the shining focal point of MKX's story. As each character grows, the team should benefit from and reflect that growth. The team should begin as a jumbled mess of flaws and poor teamwork, because they all should be flawed. They need to learn to understand each other, their strengths, their flaws, and how each of them thinks. Then, as each member grows with the help of the others, they should improve as a team, learning how to utilize each other's strengths and cover each other's weaknesses. It was a poor choice from the writers to have only Cassie beat Shinnok. Not just because it's unrealistic and forced, but because that fight needed to reflect the growth of the team, elevating each member and symbolically serving as a triumphant win over each of their own personal battles. At the same time, it's much easier to believe that a team consisting of a telepathic Shirai Ryu warrior, a Shaolin archer descendant of the great Kung Lao, and a technologically enhanced soldier trained by her veteran father, all led by the superpowered daughter of a military general, came together to beat an elder god, than it is to believe a sassy, glowing teenage girl raised by a movie star did it on her own. When combining the incomplete stories of Kung Jin and Takeda, the piss-poor development of Cassie, and the absolute nothing burger that is Jackie's story, you're left with a group of characters that you simply do not care about. Characters that annoy you, and characters that disappoint you. You are left feeling nearly no attachment to these characters at all, uninterested in what happens next in their stories. It is this lack of attachment and interest that failed the Kombat kids and led to another Mortal Kombat reboot. First impressions can be everything when introducing a character, and NRS failed to leave a good first impression for any of these 4 characters, with the best one, in my opinion, being Cassie. We spent more time with her than any other character in the group, and she received the most development of any character in the group. While it's still not good, her arc was at least somewhat completed. She went from timid and unable to lead her team well, to taking on Shinnok and unlocking her powers. While it's certainly not great, it's at least completed growth, which is more than what any of the others got. I wish we got to see more of this team, to see them grow together, fight together, win together, and become a symbol of teamwork and Earthrealm's might. Perhaps they could have led the rebellion against a corrupted Dark Raiden, which, if you want to learn more about, I highly recommend you check out my Raiden video popping up in the top right corner of your screen now. This team and each character in it could have been truly special, worthy additions to the historically great Mortal Kombat roster. Unfortunately, we were left with genuinely some of the worst attempts at character development I've seen from a video game. I get that it's a fighting game centered around online and competitive play, but that doesn't make it okay to neglect the story and the characters within it. It's that story and the characters affected by it that ultimately make the game what it is. It allows you to choose a favorite character, one you may connect with and relate to. So we must push for a solid story full of fresh, new characters that we care about, lest we end up rebooting the series with the same chunk of characters over and over and over. That's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave any thoughts or questions down in the comment section below. Do you like my hypothetical versions of these stories? Do you have your own ideas for what these stories could have been or how to improve them? Did you like the way these characters were written? Please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss an upload. It helps the channel a ton, and any support is greatly appreciated. Shout out to my members on the screen now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.